Hi, everyone. My name is Alina Islam, and I'm a mining analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. Thank you very much for joining us today. For our webinar today, I would like to introduce Falco Resources to you. They are advancing the Horn 5 polymetallic project in Quebec. To talk about recent developments as well as upcoming plans for Horn 5, we have Luc Lessard, President and CEO, and Anthony Glavac, CFO. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them into the chat box and we'll get through as many as we can. But before we get started, I do need to mention the fine print. For Falco Resources, there may be some forward-looking statements made on this webinar. Please read the cautionary note on page 2 of the Falco Resources corporate presentation located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities, I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. We note that this webinar does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and seek their own professional advice before investment. Please see our most recent research located on our website for Falco Resources specific disclosures. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Luc and Anthony. Please take it away.
Thanks, Red Cloud Group. Very appreciate your participation to that presentation. So I will ask Anthony to taking care of the presentation. I will assist Anthony to give some specific elements, mostly on the technical side. So back to you, Anthony, to start the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Anthony Glavac here. I've been with Falco since 2017. Luc has been part of the story since 2015. Just to give, put a context to the project, the Horn 5 project is directly in the Abitibi region of Quebec, in the center of the town of Rouyn-Noranda. Rouyn-Noranda has 40,000 plus citizens that live in the community. We're centrally located, well located with other gold and base metal projects, either currently active or historically active in the mine camp. In addition, in the blue color, you can see that we have over 67,000 hectares of exploration grounds that could be explored and advanced over time. Highlights. We're a polymetallic gold project in Rouyn. We have over 6.1 million ounces of gold equivalent in reserves. Because we're in the center of town, in fact, the town of Rouyn-Noranda was built around the historic Horn mine. We leverage and will leverage existing infrastructure, roads, hospitals, schools. In addition to in-house project development expertise, Luc and his team were instrumental in the development and construction of Canadian Malartic. In addition, suppliers and workforce live in and around the town, which will make the transition to development and operation relatively more simple than other stories. The last technical report we issued was a feasibility study in 2021, which demonstrated robust project economics. And as previously discussed, we have high potential from our exploration properties, but even when we look at the existing deposit, we have potential to extend life of mine of the milling facilities. 2024 has been a very busy year for the company. We signed an operating license and indemnity agreement with Glencore. Glencore is our neighbor in the industrial park of Rouyn-Noranda. They have a smelter, copper smelter right next to our facilities. In addition, in March of this year, the Quebec government, after a long 6-year process, determined our environmental impact assessment, our EIA, to be admissible to the next and final stage of the permitting process, which commenced in August of this year. The public hearing process started in August. Actually, our portion, Falco's responsible portion, was pretty much completed last week. And the BAP, the independent group that is reviewing the project, is required to provide their recommendation by the end of December. So by mid-January, this recommendation will be public. And, it's just another, it's a solid way to cap the year after a busy year. If we look at the location of the site, it truly is an urban mine. You can see in the blue contour the land package of Glencore's copper smelter. Our project will be located in the yellowish triangle. That's where our milling facilities will be located. We will use historical mine infrastructure, most notably the Camon number 2 shaft, to access the mineralization underneath. And you'll see that, if we look at the next slide, that our deposit is the gold massive the potato that's underneath the historic Horn mine. The historic Horn mine operated for the better part of 50 years. It was a copper mine that also had gold production included at that time. Both copper was actually more highly sought after and more higher in price than gold. So the group focused on the copper side, but at the same time did manage to extract almost 11 million ounces of gold during that period. Our deposit, if it looks large, it is large. It's 2 kilometers deep, 1 kilometer wide, and 100 meters thick. This is a VMS system that with consistent mineralization throughout the deposit. And like I previously said, potential for increasing life of mine of this project at depth. In green, you can see the Camon number 2 shaft is over here. It's already exists. It's already sunken. It goes down to approximately 1.2 kilometers. And in year 5 or 6, we would extend this shaft, further to about 2 kilometers down. The shaft is in good shape. It is the right size for what we are looking to do. It is filled with water, but in the next stage or development of the project, we would dewater and rehabilitate the current shaft to make it up to modern current day standards in the mining space. If we're looking at the deposit is I don't know if the screen is showing well for you, but okay.
They don't know.
Sorry. Yeah. So polymetallic deposit. We have gold, silver, copper, zinc, and a lot of it. We will produce on a pure gold basis approximately 220,000 ounces of gold per year over the 15-year life of mine. When you take into consideration all the byproducts or the other minerals, the silver, copper, zinc, we're closer to 330,000 ounces of gold equivalent. Reserves 6.1 million ounces of gold equivalent. And when we consider measured and indicated and inferred resources, we're closer to 9.3 million ounces of gold equivalent. Straight from our 2021 feasibility study, you can see the details of the mineral reserves and the resource estimates and the grades according to each metal. Maybe, Luc, you want to take a couple minutes to talk about the mining and processing at the site?
As shown by Anthony a few minutes ago. So the deposit, it's a good opportunity for us to use the high-tech new technology equipment, including the Sandvik product, electrical vehicle for the mining fleet. So we are looking to be very efficient. We are looking to be, I would say, at the high level of the industry. Teleoperation will be used for mainly the operation of the production equipment from the surface. So this is the type of operation you are looking, very efficient. On the milling side, 16,000 tons a day. This is the throughput at the mill. As we know, we have to deal with few type of minerals, including the copper. So the copper concentrate will be the first circuit. Following that, the zinc concentrate, and 50% of the gold are including the pyrite. So we have to deal with pyrite concentrate for leaching and doré bar after that. So the first 50% will be recoverable from the copper concentrate, and the other 50% will be recoverable from the pyrite concentrate at the processing plant. To dispose of all tailings, we have two options. The first one will be to use the paste backfill technologies to dispose the tailings underground in our Horn 5 deposit, I would say, but also on the historical mines, including Horn and Quémont. So everything will be filled at the end of the mine life. And the other portion, 50%, will be disposed on surface on an existing tailings disposal facilities. The name is Norbeck site, roughly at 15 kilometers from the milling facilities. Back to you, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you. So going back to our feasibility study in 2021, using the long-term consensus prices of the day, our NPV after tax was about $760 million US, IRR after tax closer to 19%, all-in sustaining costs per ounce of gold was under $600 per ounce, which was pretty incredible and is incredible. All-in costs are about $840 million US dollars. We get the question all the time, is this a precious metal or a base metal project? You can see on a payability scale, we're definitely a gold project. Almost 70% of our revenues will come from the gold produced at the project. Base metals will make up approximately 25% of the balance. Sensitivity analysis that is included in our feasibility documents indicate or show how each payability factor would be impacted by $100 or $100 increase in gold and slight modifications in the copper and zinc. In current day prices, long-term prices of $19.50, approximately, we'd be closer to a $1.2 billion after-tax NPV and almost 26% after-tax IRR. Most definitely, the project benefits from attractive economic conditions, compared to what they were in 2021. CapEx included in the feasibility study was approximately $840 million. The fact is we're no longer 2021. We will look to update our feasibility study in the new year, but the current estimate of CapEx is closer to a $1 billion number, given the 4.5 years since we last issued the feasibility study.
US.
If we look at the operating costs, you can see why our all-in sustaining cost is under $600 per ounce of gold. We benefit from approximately $600 per ounce of gold byproduct credit from the sale of our silver, copper, and zinc concentrates. And for sure, the Horn 5 project, Falco's project, ranks in the first quartile of low-cost operations worldwide. Now, if we look at 2023, what was payable worldwide, the weighted average all-in sustaining cost was closer to $1,200 US per ounce. And it's significantly higher if we isolate only the North American operations. Even with the increase in our CapEx and OpEx numbers since 2021, Falco's Horn 5 project will definitely still be in the first quartile of these projects. Yeah, timeline. This is a good thing, and what you see in front of you is the total timeline in regards to permitting of the project. You can see that early on in 2018, we completed and submitted our EIA. It took the better part of 6 years of back and forth with the Minister of the Environment to respond to their queries, concerns. Finally, and I would put it in, I'll try to, we can see that in the last, starting August, we are in the public audience section of the permitting process. It's a process that lasts 4 months. So we started in August. The president of this independent tribunal has until the end of December 26th, to submit their recommendation. At the same time, the Ministry of the Environment is also doing their own internal analysis and will produce their recommendations along the same timelines. These documents, the BAP document or recommendation will be publicized for everyone to see in mid-January. And our estimate is that we would receive our decree authorizing Falco's Horn 5 project in March of 2025, meaning that we would have a permit-ready project in the first half of 2025 that we can develop further, and puts us in an enviable position that other parties are not. Financial information, you can see that our major shareholders are largely unchanged over the last little while. About 34% of our shareholders are contained by or represented by Osisko Development, Sprott Asset Management, Investissement Québec, and Falco Insiders. Our cash position is close to $2 million with a market cap of approximately $100 million. Over the past year, with the increase of, I would say, disclosable events in 2024, we've seen an interest in Falco stock from both a volume perspective and at the same time a value appreciation since August of last year. That really coincide with the events that we announced, or the advancements that we announced. Number one, the operating license with Glencore. Number two, the admissibility of the project by the government. And lastly, we benefit from, I would say, the transaction announced and soon to be closed between Goldfields and Osisko Mining related to the Windfall project. Windfall is a project in the Abitibi that was sold for $2.1 billion. And I prepared a slide over here that kind of compares the two assets. At the time of the announcement, Falco's market cap was $60 million. The transaction announced was all cash for about $2.2 billion. And the fact is that we're both at the same stage, in the same jurisdiction, both not permitted, both underground. Our life of mine is slightly longer. CapEx is very similar. And, we find that this is, a real life comparable project that should highlight how undervalued the Falco Horn 5 project is and was, before the transaction. Again, relative valuation. If we look at a PNAV, although that since January we've managed to get closer to our peers, the reality is that we still have a ways to go. We're trading at a significant discount, and we believe that's near-term re-rating of our stock events will happen and occur that will put us in line with our peers that you see in front of us. And that's the same with the enterprise value to ounces. Again, trading at a significant discount, but like I said, we had this snapshot in January, we were way to the left, and we're slowly moving up the board in with our peers. Strong partners, we benefit from 4 strong partners, and the Osisko Gold Royalties Group, for which we have a silver stream agreement. We've received $35 million up to $180 million of our silver stream. As you may recall, silver represents the smallest revenue stream of our project, so we were able to monetize that early on in the process. In addition, Osisko Gold Royalties and Glencore, we announced this week extensions of convertible debts that we have with both parties to the end of 2025. This provides the company with lots of flexibility going forward in order to advance the project and perhaps complete certain either financings or M&A transaction without the overhang of these instruments. Osisko Development owns 16.7% of the company, in addition to Quebec government with 8%. Definitely supporters of the project, especially Quebec, still one of the only jurisdictions that cuts a check to good projects, and we benefit from their support. Lastly, all zinc and copper concentrate will be shipped to Glencore. It's a no-brainer. Copper smelter right within a kilometer distance to our facilities. It from a logistic point of view, it's optimal. In addition, Glencore will be able to send the zinc concentrate to various zinc smelters across the world, depending on the level of precious metal content that is included in the actual zinc concentrates. Leadership team, Luc and Hélène. So Luc was instrumental in developing and building Canadian Malartic. Hélène Cartier, our VP Environment, was the leader in bringing Falco's project forward in the BAP and was also part of the Canadian Malartic team prior to its sale to Yamana and Agnico Eagle. Experienced team looking to advance this project in a jurisdiction that we know very well. The Quebec advantage, this is not new. Quebec is well known to be one of the best locations to build and operate a mine. Access to green hydroelectricity. We've already talked about the regulatory and permitting frameworks. Well, the fact is that it's well established, and we're almost at the end of it. So I can put a check mark after that. What will differentiate us and this project to other projects is that we are in the center of town. The employees that will come to work and the contractors that will come to build this project will not be flying in from another remote site. They'll be going home to their loved ones. They have the expertise and they want to work on this project near their house, which other projects don't really have. ESG, we've just gone through 2 months, August, September, of public audiences where we answered and responded to all the questions and concerns of the town of Rouyn-Noranda. We want to make sure that the community, and this was the main messaging, that we'll do everything that we can to be transparent and ensure that we can make their community better and look to ways where we can integrate into the fabric of the community and operate together. So that, we went through, like I said, 10 sessions in the public. I think we've been asked everything, and we believe that we've provided the majority of the community with comfort that this team is the right team to advance the project to the next stage. So I'll just leave this slide there. Why Falco? Just to reiterate, deposit, great economics, modern day operations, the right town, a great and experienced development team, and with a track record of using the local qualified mining labor force and contractors to complete projects in a timely manner. And really, we have great partners. So, Alina, that's where I would end it. I don't know if at this point in time there are
Anthony, I will add
Yeah.
low all-in sustaining costs
Sure.
and close to 300,000 ounces of gold equivalent. So a big, good deposit. And again, this deposit is unique just because it's a VMS containing 4 elements. So well located again in Rouyn-Noranda. So back to you, Red Cloud.
Okay, well, thank you, Luc and Anthony. To our participants, you can type in your questions into the chat box at any time. So, Anthony, we do have a few questions. So, first off, you talked about the updated CapEx number. What about operating costs? Are those going to change as well?
Yeah. So our current estimates are that CapEx and operating costs would range between a 20% to 25% increase from our feasibility study. But just to be clear, these increases are more than offset by the current revenue streams, the revenue streams that will be generated with the long-term pricing that the feasibility will be, anticipates using.
Yeah.
It will be the feasibility study that's coming up will have better economics than what we've shown in 2021.
Understood. Okay. On the BAP process, can you maybe give us 1 or 2 examples of the concerns that were raised during the process?
Yeah, I will take it, Anthony. So I will say 2 things on the technical side. The seismicity, as we know, we are an underground mine in the urban region, so we have to deal with some specific seismicity potential event going forward. This is one, and also the air. So as we know, in the Rouyn-Noranda presently, we have some contamination in the air following the operation of the smelting operation. But the Falco operation did not create any additional emissions on the air, particularly in the arsenic. So we believe the acceptability of the project will be well received. But in the meantime, we have to do our work. We have to do our demonstration. Then we are able to operate in the same area of the ore smelting operation.
And I think so. Luc talked about 2 technical questions and concerns. In addition, there are some social concerns. One of which are housing in the region. Currently, there are not enough homes to, for the number of citizens in the town, similar to other towns across Canada. So we responded by indicating that we would likely be part of that solution with other entrepreneurs and the government to help solve this housing, let's call it crisis in the region.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And then last question here, I guess, with respect to the OLIA that was signed with Glencore, are there any outstanding matters that need to be addressed there?
Well, look, the reality is that we are going to be, as we presented, it's a 15-year life of mine, and we anticipate this going significantly longer. We're not going anywhere, and Glencore is not going anywhere. We'll be working together with the community for the next 15 to 30 years. So this is a constant evolution. Is it over? The answer is no, it's not over. We have a technical committee and a strategic committee that will meet and continuously meet throughout the project's life in order to ensure the safety and security of all the people in the town. And let's be clear, we want to have as much profit as possible, and Glencore does too. If there are synergies that the 2 parties have, and we can work together to lower costs lower environmental footprint, we will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question that's come in on how much has been spent on pre-production capital, like prepaid equipment and site preparation.
Yeah, so thanks, Colin, for that email. The reality is that we've purchased and have at site most of the dewatering equipment and hoisting equipment. In addition, in order to secure and purchase the it's actually, our property is made up of an acquisition of 5 or 6 sites, independent sites. We've spent, the better part of, let's call it $80 million on this, on this pre-production capital, if you like.
Okay, I think that's it for the Q&A portion of the webinar. Luc and Anthony, thank you so much for taking time to host this webinar with us today.
Yeah, and thanks to all to be present with us today.
Just as a reminder for our audience, our next webinar will feature Seabridge Gold, and that's tomorrow, October 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.